Hey everybody, welcome to Houdini Hangout. We are at the end of January 2025. Thanks for joining us this evening. My name's Peter. I'm the host of the stream and the one that will be trying to, work up some stuff this evening in Houdini. So thanks so much for joining all of us here. And we've got, I think, an interesting one lined up this evening. We had a suggestion in the topic suggestion channel in our chat or in our Discord server. And it was asking about some pyro effects. There were a few different ones in the message that they had posted about. And they were, a few different things. We'll probably look at a couple of them this evening and just kind of see what we can get up to. The one is definitely a little bit more complicated than the others, and so we'll do our best to see what we can come up with, and come up with some sort of an interesting outcome. Hopefully at the end. Let me pull up what it is that we're going to be looking at. So let me see here. Okay, so this is the video or whatever of the effect. I'm just gonna make it a little bit bigger there. Hopefully you can see that just fine. So there's some interesting stuff going on there for sure. I think, there's kind of so many different layers to this. So we'll kind of take a look at, hey, KG, welcome to the stream. Nice to have you. We'll take a look at kind of some of the things that help build up these types of effects, and just see what we can, get up to. I think, I think there's certainly some interesting use cases and stuff like that, or some interesting methods that you could employ. There's a million different ways you can go about this. So if you have suggestions or thoughts or anything like that, we're always happy to have those in the chat as well. So there's that one. There's this one here, which was some trails and things like that. It's pretty straightforward. This one's pretty similar to this one here, which is actually just, hey, welcome, Sir Hot. Nice to have you. This one's actually just sort of based off of a built-in burst source. It's not a burst source, it's a trail source. And so that's kind of cool, interesting thing to take a look at. We'll probably start out there and just look at sort of some of the basic techniques, and then go and take a look at how to do something maybe a little bit more custom and play around with some of the solver settings, and maybe even throw a few microsolvers down inside. And we'll just kind of see what we can get up to, see what kind of control we can get, and how far we can push the effect that might then look a bit more similar to what the first one is. So anyways, we're going to try this. Like I said, I probably won't do anything with this just because it's pretty similar. And I think I actually did like pyro along trails or something like this at one point. But this is kind of a nice thing to revisit and just kind of get our heads wrapped around things. And then we'll go over to maybe messing around with something like this. So anyways, this is by Fabio Sobrin. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Really good, really nice looking stuff. So nice work there. Anyways, so yeah, that's the idea of what we're gonna work on this evening. As I always say, like if you have any thoughts or ideas or anything like that you want to contribute to the stream, please feel free to do that in the chat. It's obviously open for anything. If you're not understanding something, or I'm not doing a good job of explaining it, always happy to take a break and kind of, do a better job as best I can of explaining maybe what it is that we're working on. I always say that if you're having the question, probably somebody else is as well. If you think you have an idea for something that I could be doing differently, or a better solution to the task, always open to hear that as well. I'm not the utmost expert. I am just somebody that loves using Houdini, different viewpoints and ideas and things like that. So we always encourage that you to bring those to the table, and we can all kind of figure this out, these things out together. So I'm a little unsure of how the kind of really the most interesting one's going to go. We'll see. I was playing around with a little bit of Pyro stuff just to kind of get my head in the game today, just to kind of remember some of the finer points of it. But anyways, so that's what we're going to be working on tonight. Please feel free to just jump in the chat with any ideas or thoughts regarding Houdini. If you want to join our Discord server, there's a link on HoudiniHangout.com that you can go to and join that and be a part of the conversation there as well. You can chat on there through the Discord server. All the live chat is piped into there during the stream, and any of the other channels, if you need help on something or have like a burning question about something that you're working on, you can always drop that in one of the other channels as well. It's open and friendly. We're not going to jump down your throat if you say something that you think that you're afraid is too noob or whatever, too much of a newbie question. So anyways, I guess that's it as far as this goes. Oh, well, one more thing, I guess. Just had a fun beginning of the year meeting with Side Effects today, just seeing direction for things and all that type of stuff. So I'm pretty excited about the direction for this year and where everything's going. And I think it's going to be a cool year of obviously at some point there'll be release of software. We do that every year, so I think there'll be some really neat things on the horizon for that. Lots of cool events and things like that we're going to be attending, and so just keep an eye out for the news and events and things like that for on sideeffects.com for that type of a thing. Lots to come this year. So feeling good, feeling ready. So so I guess with that, we'll just jump in and start doing some Houdini stuff. All right. So as you can see here, we have I have Houdini all set up, and actually having it with a dark background, I think that'll just help us with some of this stuff to see a little bit clearer what's going on in the background with Pyro and things like that. It's always nice to be able to see when things are dissipating and stuff like that. I think with the light colored background, it just can be a little bit too hard to see all the time. So maybe the first thing we'll do a geometry node here, drop that down. And I'll just say Pyro trails first. And we'll do this first just to get ourselves kind of warmed up a little bit here. So there is a Pyro trail source node. And this, it is the Pyro trail. Which one is it? Sorry. It's Pyro trail, and then I think Pyro trail path. Yeah. No, Pyro trail path, then Pyro trail source. That's right. Okay. So that's a little confusing. Okay. So if you have the path first and then the source. So the path defines the paths. Makes sense. And this is a kind of a SOP level tool that's going to allow you to kind of see where these kind of ballistic paths are going, right? And there you can see kind of the timing of this and how that all sorts out, in 3D space. So what I'm going to do, let's see here. So let's maybe bring a couple less trails in here, maybe. And I think I'm just going to revert that back to the beginning. We'll have them mostly go up like this. I don't want them to go too far down. Cool. And then I think what we'll do is this is the distribution. We can do a shape here. We can do them, off of a line or from a sphere. The sphere is basically what that other one was using. And we can set the initial size and things like that of that sphere where those are getting sourced from. Maybe we'll up that a little bit, maybe like to 3 or something like that, just so that they're not all going right from the origin. So then under the trail scale here, we can adjust a few different things like the velocity. So that's kind of nice. We can adjust the initial, kind of how it's going to be blasting off kind of from the center here. And you can see it's going to have like sort of that ballistic path that we're creating here. And so that's cool. Let's also offset it per point. And what this is going to do is going to let us have kind of some random trails coming off as such. And maybe we'll do this a little bit faster, like that. Yep, something like that. So that is working just fine. And what I want to do is I want to prune the trails just a little bit here. So I'm just going to bring these back so that there may be something like, maybe just like 36 frames, something like that there. We can kind of add some noise into here for directional variation as well. There's lots of stuff we can do here, but yeah, so that works out okay. I might change the offset per point down a little bit, maybe to 12. That's just basically how much offset we're getting as each of these are starting. You can see here it's a frame duration. So it's just going to change the way that those are all going to be kind of clustered together. I don't know, maybe we'll bring it up a little bit more to 16. You can see that this is all procedural parametric. We're not dealing with any type of a particle simulation or anything like that. This is all able to be done without any type of simulation. So that's good. Just gonna mess with this a little bit here. Just gonna play around with some of these things and just see what we can get here. Just try to shape these in some sort of an interesting type of a way. Yeah, so as we up the size, obviously that scale of the noise is going to basically clump together a bit more. So it's going to be, the noise is going to be more evenly affecting all these trails at once. So maybe we'll just give this a little less noise. Just kind of curious how this might look here. Yeah, cool. That's fine. Got a nice little fan effect going there. We'll be able to have those all shoot off like that, and that looks pretty good. I might turn the drag down a little bit, actually, because I see when we're getting up to the top here, we're sort of, it's slowing down a little bit more than I would like at the very top there. And so I think it would be nice, like if, obviously we turn the drag way up, we're going to get, this kind of a look here. So they're going to blast out and then just kind of slow down up towards the top. And so let's do it like that, and we can see them. Let's see, we'll straighten them out a little bit as well. They won't be getting pulled as much by gravity. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. So we'll have some, oops, just want to see this animation again. Yep, cool. All right, so then we've got our trail sources here. And these are going to be what actually sources our volumes, right? And the idea here is that these are each little clusters of points, right? So you might not be able to see that super well here, but if we zoom in a little bit, we can see that these are little point clusters, and those are going to be what drives, drives our simulation here. And as well, when we looked over here, we can see that these are the little clusters basically that are shooting up into the air here. So that's what's sourcing that that velocity, or that smoke into the air. So we can control a bunch of different things here. We can change the length of these, right? We can make them really long if we wanted to. I think I'm just going to start with them like this, and then we'll kind of play with it from there. So we have our trail here. Can we do a speed scale? Yeah, it looks like we can actually even adjust the speed after the fact, which is kind of cool. So we could always adjust just one speed setting there. Here are our components that are going to be created, the Pyro sources that were going to be created. And at this point, we haven't really done a whole lot of anything yet. Just remember that at this point, these are just point attributes. They're nothing more than that that's being created. So right now we're just creating density, and then we're also going to be creating a velocity as well. I might look at doing what's the word? Expansion. I can't think of the name of it. It's not expansion. anyways, yeah, my brain is shut off there for a second. Anyways, it basically helps to expand the pyro as it's sourced out. Divergence. That's it. I was thinking B, but that's not it. Divergence. Okay. So anyways, we might add that in just to kind of give it a little bit more. There's also some quick setups up here that we can do as well. We could add in our source volume and a pyro simulation. So if we do this is going to bring in our volume rasterize attributes. And this is a pretty standard way of doing it. One thing that will be used here is that this source attribute is created. You have this attribute here that's basically saying that these are the source names that we want to use. And so later when we do that, we won't have that attribute nicely made. I mean, we could make that up and stuff like that, but in this case, it does it for us and allows us to be able to kind of do this a little bit more easily. So now we've got our volumes being sourced in here. It's going to be a little slower here because obviously we're rasterizing that into a volume, but that should give us what we need. So now the real question is, what is our voxel scale here? So let's take a look at this. So I think we're going to need a little bit more than that. Not 100% sure, but that might just be a viewport at what do you call it? Artifact. Let me go into texture. Interesting. Anyways, okay. Yep, see, that's what I get for turning off my my thing. I just segment faulted. That's fun. Give me a second. I will restart that back up. That's why I shouldn't play around with that stuff. But anyways, I'll be right back with this. So yeah, so what I was doing there was trying to turn off my volume optimization, like the visualization of it, just to see if that was causing the issue. It seems that it probably wasn't, and that I just basically tried to flood my GPU with a bajillion voxels, basically, of data, and didn't like that. So we're gonna restart. Hope everybody's doing well this evening. Haven't really seen much in the chat, but hopefully you guys are all doing well. Things are going well for you. I'm doing fine. I'm doing just fine. Awkward Polly. Nice to have you in the chat. Be doing better if man, Houdini's taking a little bit to load up here. All right, there we go. It's probably because I have labs and everything installed. So let's see. Let's open up the crash file. Yes. Oh, cool. That's a cool oh boy. I'm just gonna be in a crash loop here. That's exciting. What do we do? Okay. So I'm going to just launch Houdini, and then we're going to go into manual cook and in manual mode. And then I am going to turn that display setting back off that I turned on. Yeah, PDG is amazing. PDG is a really cool just workflow in general. Yeah, it's I use it for a ton of stuff. When I'm actually like building larger scale things. All right. Hopefully this will work. Manual, yes. Okay, perfect. We'll go into texture. We're going to limit the resolution, And we are going to go back into auto update. There we go. Okay. I guess we were just running into a little, whatever, just some sort of a visual issue here. So let's go back. Let's do this. Let's say 0.5. I don't know. I just don't want it to be too many voxels that we're sourcing. All right, let's do that. Interestingly here, we can also do, oh, that would have actually even been smarter. Let's do this. L, there we go. So we can get rid of this, and we could actually just do a Pyro simulation right from here. So in this quick setup, it's going to add the volume masterized attributes and the simple fireball. Interesting. I'm just going to do these manually. I'm not sure why this is. Yeah, I'm just going to do these manually. That's okay. This is good. It's good to have this in here, but I'm just going to do volume rasterize attributes. And I'll just set this up from by my own, with my own settings. All right. So there we go. We've got our trails. I actually might make these a little bit wider, maybe just a little bit wider like this. What was it at? 0.1? Yeah. 0.25. Let's do that. Maybe give it like a little bit more length, something like that. Then we will rasterize those. We're going to, so we got to choose our attributes, right? So we're going to do density, velocity, the voxel size. We can keep to, we'll keep that at 0.1. That should be fine. Okay, so there we go. We've got density and velocity being sourced. We're going to do a Pyro Solver. Oh, I didn't even see your comment there, Awkward Polly. Yeah, I have been noticing that as well. And I think I actually saw a conversation internally about that. And just trying to make that work a little bit better. So, yes, I think that could possibly be the case. But yeah, I think they're working on that. Yeah, so I think there's, so am I able to shed any light on the future of Houdini on Mac, with the Vulkan, viewport? Yeah, I think, the plan is to get that working. Obviously there's a much smaller subset of the side effects clients on Mac. And so obviously there's not going to be quite as big of a push to, hey, Zach, welcome, to get that all, to get that to exact parity. But I think there's definitely work in progress to get that, to get Vulkan, or Vulkan itself. I think it has to be some sort of a port of it or something. I've heard various talks about how Vulkan itself doesn't work, but there's other ways that might happen. So, yeah, so there's definitely talk about that, and they're investigating that and looking into it. So, yeah. So people are there's definitely a that's definitely being looked into. We'll say that. Okay. So what do we got going on here? So I've got way too many voxels. I'm getting into the billions of voxels. So let's just turn this all down. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, if you run into that stuff too, Awkward Polly, if you run into stuff that that you're not sure if side effects knows about or not, I mean, a bug report is always great, because, hey, Jamie, welcome to the stream. Nice to have you. Yeah, so bug reports are great, super important. We track them all. We know about them. I think last year there were something like, I don't know, there's like tens of thousands of bugs every year, or bug reports, I should say. So, Yeah, there's quite a few. I saw the numbers today on them, and it's pretty staggering what that team does. They're amazing. Um, but yeah, the more, I mean, we really keep close tabs on all that information. So the more noise, if you're seeing something happen, the more that it's reported by more than just one person, the more that we know that there's something actually up. So yeah, that's always nice to have, more bug reports. It's not an annoying thing. It's a positive thing. So don't feel like you're bothering people by doing bug reports. They're very welcome. Anyways, all right. So we've got this. I think we're running too high with these voxels because this is actually at a really large scale. Like if we look at this here and extrapolate that, I mean, we're looking at like over 50 some meters across, right? What's the size of this? Yeah, it's like 48 by 61 by 24. So that's a lot of meters. So let's turn our voxel size down a bit. I think we can do that. So let's do 0.5. I'm going to copy that parameter and put it over here and paste a relative reference to it there. Let's see how that goes. All right, cool. Starting to get there. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll actually just divide this by 2 maybe. I'll have a little bit higher resolution on the source. All right. And then on this here, I'm actually going to make the radius even a little bit bigger, maybe. Just give these like a little bit more mass to them. Something like that. All right. And then there we go. Now we're getting something. Getting a little bit more. Getting a little bit more there. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, we don't have flame being sourced, so we don't need that. We can take that out. We've got our velocity here. And the other thing that we can do is we can change our fields. We don't have a flame field, so that's fine. I'm going to turn the dissipation down because we don't really want it to dissipate very much. So we want it to kind of stick around, right? And have these longer trails going on. Now, some of this stuttering that we're seeing is because of the time steps and things like that. So let's see if we can't give it an extra couple maximum sub steps here. Just see how that's going to go here. Yeah. That's smoothing it out for sure. And then I think what we could do as well here is we could source in some that's cool. Houdini flies on my M4 Max. Nice. Yeah, yeah, I've heard good stuff about the what do you call it? The newer Apple devices. I've heard they're pretty good. You know what I'm actually going to do just to make this a little bit quicker? I'm going to make this a little less, have it go less in, all sorts of random directions. I'm just going to adjust I think this here. We'll just fire this down a little bit, right? Or no, that would be, sorry. That would be the, yeah, I'm just going to have them clump a little bit closer together like that. That looks good. that way we just don't have quite as big of a range of area that we're going to be simulating. It's going to just go a bit faster. Maybe I made that a little too wide here, so let's go back. Cool. All right, so I'm going to do that. I'm also going to change the source density. So maybe we'll change that to be like 5. Cool. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add another thing in here, another component, and I'm going to add this here and create a source. I'm going to add some divergence in here, and I think this will help as well. So I'm going to enable some noise on the divergence. Okay, that looks good. Oop, didn't mean to double click into that. All right, so then we'll add another source here, and we will do, oh, I need to add that here because this is going to be divergence as well. Cool. So here we're going to add divergence, and the target field is going to be divergence. So let's see what we get here. Yep, and let's add some scale to this. Maybe we'll go a magnitude higher. Just see if we can get anything going. Let me make sure that that's actually doing anything here. Does not seem to be. Whoa, Jamie, asking about why you reboot your PC. I have to log back in the license manager. That would be a support question. Honestly, don't know. Never had that happen before. It's probably something with it not saving. Hey, Esteban, working on some Pyro stuff tonight, seeing what we can get up to here. Yeah, I would definitely talk to the support team about that. I think you're going to be able to get something a little bit nicer there from them than anything I'm going to be able to help you with. So, yeah, take a look at that. See what you can come up. See what they can come up with, and they're super helpful and quick. They'll get back to you so fast. They're awesome. All right, so I'm going to do a couple more things here. I'm going to add in some some disturbance, and do that based on the speed. And I usually adjust the speed a little bit here so that I use the speed field, I should say, so that as it's only working on higher speed elements, that's going to get the disturbance, so that things that are standing still aren't going to be so much getting that effect. And also, I don't think I want any buoyancy on these. We're going to just let them chill. Because we don't want it to like float upwards. They're kind of smoke. Do we have, maybe we don't have a speed field. So let's look at our fields here. And we don't. I'm going to turn speed field on so it calculates that. That'll make sure that we're calculating a speed field. Let's see if that does anything better for us. Hopefully it does. All right, let's set this back to 1 here. Set that to 0.1. And this might be too small, so we'll set that to 1 as well. Just make the block scale a little bit larger. See if that helps us out at all here. And we can also look at our disturbance field here and see what's cooking. Hmm. There we go. Now we're getting some actual things. Hey, Alicio, welcome. Yeah, never did Pyro Sim and Houdini. Cool. Well, hopefully this will get you, maybe get you a little more interested in it. There we go. Now we're getting some stuff going on here. I'm still not happy with that. I feel like my scale is all wrong here. So I usually leave it this way with density. All right, I just want to make sure that this is actually updating things here. So let's just add some wind in just to make sure that everything's working properly. This should be blowing it. Yep, there we go. So that's blowing it in one direction. So that's working. Okay, just wanted to make sure that these weren't like totally messed up or something. All right, so one thing to note here is if we put down a box, this is something I used to do sometimes. Take a box and just set the uniform scale to be what this box size is here. So we're 0.5. And if we look at this simulation here, Jamie, that's funny. Backed up all your old caches to, that is funny. Backing up your old caches to Google Drive. That'll definitely eat up some storage space for sure. It'll definitely eat up some space. All right, I'm just gonna check something out here as well. Just kind of surprised about this divergence. I really thought that that was going to help us push this out, and it doesn't seem to be doing it. So what am I missing here? Sorry. Let me disable the noise on that. Just maybe I'm doing that wrong. Let me just see here. Why is divergence at 0 for all of these? Let me see here. I'm going to check out divergence, and let's see here. Why is that? That's really odd. Sorry, I'm not sure what's going on here. Why I'm getting... Where is my divergence even positive? Okay. Let's just check something out here. Sorry about this. Not sure why that's the case. I'm just going to delete these based on points. And we're going to say at divergence equals, or sorry, it's greater than 0. And we'll say delete non-selected. Huh? So yeah, so I think what Jamie's saying is doing it once a project's finished, you're done, you delete the cache. Yeah, since it can always be resimulated. Yeah, I think that's a great point. Definitely a good point. All right, so what is happening here? Why is this? Sorry, I'm not sure why. Is this adding more points to that for some reason? Why is it? That seems really odd. Really think you would, sorry, just thinking about this here. Think there might be something goofed up with that, actually. That's interesting. Because it should be divergence, like so, and it should be at a value of 1. Should really just be adding an attribute to these points and not making more points. And then that looks right. Okay. I wonder if that was what was goofing us up here. Okay. Yep. Okay. There's our issue. Okay, I'm going to have to maybe think about why that is. Okay, anyways, not sure why that's the case. It should just add another attribute in there on those same points, but for some reason it seems like we're getting points on we're getting multiple sets of points on top of each other. So this should be better. Let's take a look at this here. Does this also play back faster? Sure seems to. Great. Okay, so now we have density and divergence. Let's go back here, set this down to like 10 instead, and maybe we can get a better, oh, that's on the wrong view here. Yeah. I think we'll be able to do this now and get a nicer, there we go. All right, now we're getting somewhere. Let's do 50, see what that does for us here. Okay, the other thing I'm going to do is actually not have these like slow down maybe so much. I feel like that is definitely messing with us here. So maybe I'll just up the speed of this, see if that gets us anything better here. Yeah, so I probably would look at these like this, right? Maybe 2's too fast on that, but that's okay. So we'll just kind of come in here, do 1.5. Have I used Axiom much? I've used it a little bit. I haven't really looked into it too heavily. Like I've definitely used it before. However, yeah, it's just not something that I've like touched all that much. But yeah, it seems like a lot of people really like it. I'm gonna up the density scale a little bit there. Maybe go a little higher on the divergence. There we go. Now we're getting something a little nicer here. Maybe if I set those back, this will be a little bit less cluttered in the middle there. We've got a lot of voxels going on here. Let's just see how that looks. A little too fine. All right, let's do 3.5. Split the difference on these, 2.5 and I don't know, 12.5, something like that. All right, so we have divergence there. That's good. Oh, another thing. We're just going to do density as the visible volumes. We don't need them all visible. Actually, just out of curiosity, does that make this any better? Not too much. I'm also going to change maybe the radius down a little bit so they're a little finer. All right, add another substep in just because they're moving a little bit quicker here. And let's see if I can't source in a bit more divergence here. Let's do add instead, and we'll do that at 75. See if that's any better. No. Surprised that this isn't making as much of a difference as I had hoped. Okay, so that's doing something. Let's just turn off this disturbance for a second. I just want to see what we've got going on other than that. Okay. Getting there. This can probably come down a little bit. All right, so the thing I do a lot of times here is let's try to reset this a little bit. So let's go back to this disturbance. Let's set that to maybe like 5. We'll just see where we're getting there with that. Disturbance is basically going to take the edges of this, hopefully, and kind of add some. Shoot, sorry, my video down. Sorry about that. Not sure what's going on there. Give me 1 second there. I think I can get that back up. Sorry about that. Lost my video feed there for a second. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Let me know if there's any issues at all. Happy to try to fix this stuff up. All right, so going to actually slow this down back again. See if maybe it's just moving too fast to actually have any real divergence affecting it. And it does seem to be the case that we're running into some issues there. Okay, all good. Cool. Cool. It's a rite of passage for NVIDIA. Yeah. NVIDIA Broadcast does a pretty good job. I use it most of the time without any real issues. But today just seems to be a day where it's just not happy. Okay. So let's see here. Sorry, I'm kind of going back and forth on this sourcing thing here. Set that to 100. Not sure why we're not getting as much kind of bang for our buck here with the divergence. Let's see here. Let's just add a whole nother global substep. See if that helps us out at all here. Nope. Let's do this. Add a little more width there and a little bit more length. Man, I just really want those to like push out. Yeah. Yep. Escape becomes your best friend in this for sure. I'm surprised my escape button still works. All right. So let me go back here. Let's take a look at the sourcing. Yeah. I used to do a thing where I would like sit an object on my escape key if it was if there was like an issue or whatever. Okay, so let's do that. We've got our disturbance here. The block size, what size are we at here? That's at 0.5, so let's up this to be 0.5. I just want to see what our speed range is here, just out of curiosity. Okay, so let's take this to be maybe like 10, and this we'll set to 1. So that the faster stuff is going to get more disturbance here. So we'll add this. Weighted escape size. Yep, you just set it right on your escape key. That would be amazing. All right, I'm just going to keep playing around with this here. I don't know. Let's see. Dissipation, speed. The other thing. No, I guess that's. Sorry, I was just thinking there was another thing that might work is having. Having the density influencing gravity, but I don't think we need to worry about that so much. All right, so I think we're getting somewhere here with this. I'm not going to keep belaboring this point because I don't think that this is actually the more interesting of the two. So why don't we move on to the next little thing here? If you want to play around with this kind of a setup, this is basically how you do it. You know, obviously there's a lot of little back and forth stuff that we can screw around with. Feel free to go in there and mess around with some more stuff. But let's get into this a little bit trickier one here. So this is going to be sim, I don't know, we'll call it shredding smoke. Like I said, I'm not sure how well this is going to go, but we'll give it a shot. See what we can get up to here. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start with a box. So I'm going to start with a box. Minimize this because we really aren't probably going to use those attributes very much. So let's take this and let's expand it here. So we're going to do kind of like there's like a bar of smoke kind of going up in the air. So let's do this. I don't know, 10 by 1 by 1. Cool. And the smoke's going to rise up and we're going to try to like split it up and do some interesting stuff with it. And we'll see how far we can get with it, what we can kind of make happen. So we're going to do a pyro source here, right? We'll use a pyro source node because this should give us what we need. And you can do this a few different ways, right? So you could scatter your points and do things like that because everything's going to be sourced by points. But in this case, we're going to actually scatter the points right on the pyro source. We can do, usually it's set and keep input, but I'm going to do a volume scatter here. And we're just going to scatter points, you know, throughout this volume. And so that'll do, you know, give us some control here. And so what I want to do is, well, actually we can clear this out. We can actually use this initialize here. So we can source smoke. It's going to give us density and temperature attributes on here. So if we pull this open, we'll see that we have temperature and we also have density. And unlike the other one, there weren't random points being added, which I don't know why that was the case. But anyways, okay, so there is our density and temperature attributes. That's what we're going to rasterize. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to source some color in here just to make it look a little more interesting. I found doing something like this was kind of cool. So we can source in some color there. It's also going to source an alpha attribute that the Pyro Solver is going to be looking for as well. So let's do a rasterize. Volume rasterize attributes. So we're going to use that. And again, we're just going to set this up on our own. So here we're going to look for density. We're going to look for temperature. We're going to look for CD and we're going to look for alpha. So those are the attributes that we're going to be rasterizing. Now, if you remember, I said we don't have that source name being created. That is true. We don't have that being created here on these points. So that won't really be of any use to us. We could set something up like that, but I don't really find it to be that super helpful in this case. So usually this is on the normalized by clamped coverage. I find that that makes a little bit of a softer edge versus like this little bit harsher edge here. So I'm just going to turn that on. And again, the visible volume, I'm just going to set to be cool. Well, Jamie, have a great night. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining us. All right, so we have density there. And yeah, so what we're going to do with this is we're going to use this obviously to kind of try to mimic this sort of effect that was going on here, where we've got these lifting sort of wispy things. This is mainly what I'm going to be going for, where it's going to be separating and trying to like break apart. That kind of pulsating thing is a little weird. I'm not 100% sure how that was done, but I'm going to just try to do part of this and see what we can get up to here. So, I mean, you could do this probably with custom velocities and things like that, but I'm just thinking of like controlling the simulation in maybe some sort of more broader way than like trying to make a very precise velocity grid or something like that. So, okay, so we've got these set up. We've got all our volumes here. We can look here. We've got density, divergence. We have, well, that's interesting. I have divergence. I guess it must do that by default, I guess. Oh, what is it doing? Confused. It is confused. There we go. Okay. There's our volumes. We've got alpha, CD, density, temperature. Great. That was weird. Okay. So let's now add in our Pyro Solver here. And we're going to have to set this up to take in the things that we're looking for it, you know, kind of expecting for it to take from us, which are those sources that we just set up there. I'll leave this as is for right now. Pyro probably copy this over just in case we change it. It'll change this. Paste relative references there. Great. So sourcing is going to be important here. I might just say quick setup. We're going to initialize smoke to start with. I think that's pretty straightforward. We'll do that. And then we can add a color source here, and that's going to add in our CD and alpha down here. Now, the other thing we can do maybe is go into here. We're going to set that back actually, because this is actually trying to tint this. So let's change that back. That should make this a little nicer. Yeah, perfect. Great. We won't need flame, but we do have a color field. We can also get our speed field here. We can turn that on. That'll be nice to use. Cool. So let's just take a look at what's going on here, and then we can kind of analyze and go from there. So the first thing we'll notice is that we're getting this that is really kind of shooting upwards quickly, right? So it's going super, super high here. And so we really kind of don't want that as much. We don't want this to be kind of racing upwards. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is go into my shape, and I'm just going to change the buoyancy. So let's play around with this. Let's maybe start at a quarter buoyancy and see where we might get with this. This might be too slow, but we'll see. We'll see where it takes us. So obviously this isn't in real time. This is going about 4 frames a second. So we can go back and we can play it again and see sort of what it is we're getting here. And actually, yeah, that's maybe doing some nice stuff. Oh, my solver is obviously running out of RAM here. So I'm going to go into my setup and set this to something like rocket liftoff. Cool. Yeah, I'm guessing that's a little emoji somewhere. Yeah. Fun. So just upped my cache just so that this will keep the voxels in memory. And yeah, so we're starting to get this upwards movement here. But I think one thing that you'll notice is that this is kind of, it's a little bit turbulent still. And we're really getting a ton of turbulence, even though we have very little stuff, that we don't have any wind, disturbance, turbulence, nothing on here. So whenever I see turbulence, kind of the thing that should come to mind that will help bring that down is if we go into our shape, we can turn on some viscosity here. And that you often probably think of that with fluid, right? That's thicker fluid. But what viscosity really is just making nearby parts of a simulation to kind of all flow together in a unified flow. And so that can give us this more streaky look here. So let's set this to maybe 0.5 and we'll take a look at what this looks like. So what we should see is there's going to be a considerable amount less turbulence in this. Now, obviously the very beginning here, we're getting a little bit of a turbulent kind of front being created, but the rest of it is sort of not being turbulent at all, really. Once this kind of hits its stride, it's going to be pretty smooth. The other thing we can do too is we can go back to the fields and we can up the dissipation a little bit more. So if we go to maybe like a quarter on the dissipation, that's just going to kind of let this dissolve away a bit faster. And you'll see here now we're getting the end is definitely dissipating a lot more. And now you can see that we have this a bit more of just like a sheet forming here. It's really a pretty smooth simulation that's going on here. The other thing too is we're not really adding any noise down to this sourcing point down here. So that's gonna help, that not really do much either. So this is going to be a nice kind of laminar kind of, bit of smoke that's just kind of rising up. And maybe we even want this to dissipate sooner. I don't know. We'll figure that out. The other thing we might do is maybe even reduce the buoyancy a little bit more so it doesn't shoot up quite as far. One nice benefit of some of these things is that the smaller this region is, the less voxels we'll have, and it'll simulate faster too. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Nice and easy. And what I've found in just playing around with this a little bit is that we just want to add some, some sort of something to kind of break this up a little bit. And so I was messing around with the shredding a little bit, and I found this to be kind of an interesting little effect here. And so what this is going to do is give us, it's sort of an idea with like flames, right? Like where as they go up, we kind of break them apart and do some things like that. In this case, instead of doing it on our flame field, which we don't actually have, so it's really not going to do anything in this case. I believe if we even turn this way up, we're not going to really see anything changing here. Let's see. I might be wrong, but let's take a look. Yep, doesn't look like we're doing really much of anything there. Yep, exactly. So let's change this to a field that we actually do have. So let's come in here and let's say we could do density. And now you can see that we're starting to actually do something to this here. We're kind of breaking it up in an interesting way. And this is going to start giving us those kind of elongated sort of striations that you would see from flames, right? However, in this case, we want them to be even less, not noticeable, but less, we don't want it to be as like flickery as a flame. So what we could do is we can kind of play around with this a little bit. Maybe we'll up the block size. That's just going to mean kind of the noise scale, right? So we can kind of play around with that a little bit and see where that's going to get us. However, I think this is a bit too turbulent still. We're getting a lot of turbulence in this, and we really want it to be a little bit more smooth than that. So let's see if we can't play with this a little bit more here. All right, so maybe what we can do is we can use a control field, and we'll only do this based on speed. So when the speed is very low, we won't have it do anything. So maybe when it's like, well, let's play this out for a little bit here, and we can see what the speed is of this. So maybe there, you can see what the range is, and it goes up to 10. So maybe we'll say like, I don't know, to 2, since the very fastest is that, and we'll say 0.25 on the low end. So anything below 0.25, we won't give it any of this sort of shredding. So hopefully that as it rises up here, we'll have less of that shredding happening. Just have a little bit maybe at the bottom, and then we'll let it kind of loosen up a little bit as it gets to the top. We could also do the control field as density, and so as it gets less dense, we're going to have less of it. So let's see if we can play around with that too. So we want this to go towards 0 as maybe the density is like 0.5, something like that. Let's just, okay, that looks like that's our range right now. How is the density going up? Sorry, just not sure about that. Why is the density going up? Oh, because we're adding it maybe? Yeah, that's probably it. So we're adding density. Maybe we should do instead is just set this to be maximum instead of adding density in. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So instead of adding density on top of itself, this is just going to set a maximum density for this area, basically. So that's kind of neat. That's working maybe even a little bit better than I had before. Oops, didn't mean to double click on that. Oh, cool. So I've noticed this too. I'm going to report this probably tomorrow, that if you go inside of the Pyro Solver and come back out, like it's going to change the visualization in there. Oops. And it's not very fun. So let's do this background dark. There we go. Okay. So let's see here. So just remember that these operations can be helpful, right? Because if we want to not keep adding more and more density here, that can be pretty helpful for us to know like what's going on here. So if I compute the range here, we can see now, yep, it should stay at that same relative scale this whole time. So the highest is going to be basically 8, which I'm not 100% sure why it's 8, to be honest with you. because I have the density set here, and then up here and sourcing it's set to 1. So I'm not 100% sure why that's the case, but that's fine. We can work with that. And there we are again. Lovely. Shoot, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Okay. Okay, so we have that between 0 and 8. So let's set this down. We'll do this like 2. We'll do this to maybe 1. So anything under 1 on density is not going to get that shredding, right? So let's see. Okay, interesting. So let's change the pulse length a little bit here, maybe to 0.5, just to see what's going on. That's kind of cool. I do still feel like this is a little too fast. So let's bring this down. See what we can have happen here. Yeah. See, I like that a little bit better, I think. That's feeling a little bit nicer. We're getting some more of these like kind of smooth like lines in this. The other thing we could do too is we could maybe even up the block size a little bit here and see where that gets us, because that should give us bigger gaps here. Sure enough, it looks like it is. All right, we're sort of getting somewhere here. I might actually turn this down a little bit and just see where that gets us as well. Yeah, that's kind of cool. The other thing we could do here as well is have a noise field on our density as well. So what you could do here, we could come in here and take a look at our density field. Now, obviously that's completely solid. Now, I believe under here we can... No, there's not an easy way to do this. So, so what we could do is we could do a attribute adjust float, I think is the easiest way to do this. Yes, the buoyancy, yes. So the buoyancy is going to be determined by the temperature, right? And so, yes, if you turn the temperature down, actually that's a good point, Zach. I like that question. Let's take a look at that. Believe if we turned, well, let's actually just do that here. We can do temperature, and we could do a constant value. Let's just set it to something really low, 0.1. Let's see if that changes this at all. Yep, there you go. Even at a very, very small scale, it's going to have buoyancy, right? So right now it's really, really tiny here, so we're going to have very little buoyancy. But yes, the temperature does affect that. So that's 0.1 of 0.1, right? Because this is at 0.1 as well. So yes, the buoyancy is based on the temperature. So you could definitely play around with that, right? And that's pretty standard for these types of things, because as something's exploding, right, you want that to kind of rise up and then advect and do a whole bunch of other things. We're kind of doing a bit of a specialized thing here. So, you know, I want it to be relatively buoyant across the whole thing, right? But yeah, no, it's a great question. So let's try this here. Maybe we'll try density. Let's try, nope, not random. Let's do noise. Let's go back to this, visualize it. And let's visualize that. Oops, there we go. It is visualized. So we have noise on our density attribute. Yeah, you're welcome. No problem. Why is that not showing up though? Because we're adding to it. That's why. Let's do a multiply. There we go. So we're going to multiply by a noise pattern, and then we can play around with this here, right? And so we could do that. We could animate it like this, and yeah, let's take that way down, maybe 5. Yeah, let's try that. Let's just see what happens here. Not sure if this will do anything all that interesting, but we'll give it a shot. So this is going to give us different amounts of density there. Okay, so let's just try this again. Let's see if we change this to add, just out of curiosity. Is this going to give us much different results? Not really. Okay. So I'm going to say maximum again. And let's go back over here and let's adjust this a little bit. Let's have more blue, maybe a little less red. Just see what happens here with like less active areas, just out of curiosity here. Okay, there we go. We're starting to actually see some gaps. So that's kind of interesting. There we go. So having a combination of those two actually might be really interesting. Like might be a really interesting option. And maybe we just take a little bit less on this side here. Just give it a little more on that side. Just so there's not as much completely empty areas. Maybe we change the pulse duration so it's a little quicker. Yeah, that's kind of cool. That's doing some neat stuff. So yeah, so just remember that too. Like as you're doing a pyro sim, like what you can do to your source will actually affect the you know, the output just as much as, you know, all the settings for it, right? Another thing too that you might want to play with if you're playing around with this type of an idea is in the Pyro Solver, I have a feeling that the viscosity is going to really cool VFX. Try to do from 0.2 to 0.8 and on the middle area, push a little more down. Cool. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. No worries. Thanks for the suggestion. All right, so we'll do 2.8, and then in the middle, we'll just push, we'll push it down a little bit more. There we go. So yeah, so that's just kind of shaping this area a little bit more. yeah, let's see what we get there. Thanks for the suggestion. Cool VFX. Appreciate it. Yeah, nice. Getting some cool kind of look here. I think the look is like almost like fiery, but then it's like wispy and smoky at the same time. It's real interesting. Not really 100% sure like what we're looking at, but I think it's kind of cool. Yeah, that's pretty neat. All right, so we've got that. Let's see if we can't do some turbulence here, and maybe we'll add that in to the end of this. Like, it's just a game. Yeah, it's we're just on Twitch. We're just playing a little Houdini game here. Okay, so let's try this out. I wasn't having a lot of success with this earlier when I was kind of just screwing around with it, but these little wispy things, I feel like that would be turbulence that we'd want for that. That's my guess. So let's try that. See if we can't get it to do something we like. All right, so let's try this out. So we're gonna need a little bit of turbulence here. Let's maybe just set the turbulence to 1 and just see where that gets us. It's gonna add a lot of stuff into this, but that's okay. Okay, so this was where I was running into some weirdness. Use control field right on the edge, maybe remap from. Sure. Yeah, let's try it. Take your suggestions. All right, so we got 0.8 to 1. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. See what that gets us here. I feel like we want the swirl size to be a little smaller. The other thing might be that we need a little bit more resolution in this possibly to get those details. Yeah, see, all of our turbulence is coming at the very beginning there. So I almost think that we want to do it between a lower value, like we want it with smaller values. So from 0 to like, I don't know, 0.2, something like that. And I know it's going to give us a little burst at the beginning like that, but maybe, no. Yeah. No, that's a good point too. Yeah, disturbance was another thing that I was thinking of as well. Yeah. So the other thing that we can do too, the other just to show you a different way of doing this too, you could do a gas disturb like this, and you can do a little microsolver here, and this would be a way to. I need to go back in there. I'm going to grab this. I'm just going to grab the parameters here so I can have them up at this level, and then Obviously, these are using that as well. Here, like these disturbance and turbulence and things like that. But this is going to give you even more control over some of these things. And I think it just might be interesting just to talk about this. Possible to Boolean the smoke. Just cut a part of the smoke. That's interesting. Like Boolean it based on like a density or something? Like, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I have to think about that. So if we do this block based, this is going to be basically the same thing we were using before. And it does some things here for us. So exactly. So what we can do here is we can do, let's do this. Let's turn off the threshold range. Let's just have this be happening wherever we want it to. And then we'll just use a control field and this we can control it maybe by the density. And here we could maybe remap this so that it's only going to work within a certain area. Instead of it being like linear, we could kind of add some interesting controls to this. So let's play around with this and see what we can get up to here. So this is going to no worries. No. I love the ideas. Ideas are welcome. Thanks for putting your ideas in. I appreciate it. All right. So let's say here we do like, okay. So maybe we'll just do this, something like this. And so right now we have 0 to 1, and we can maybe only have it do stuff in lower density areas. Let's see. Oh, right. I'm going to turn this rotational force on, actually. That's, I think, what we want to. Interesting. Yeah, you can sort of see what we're starting to get into here. Now, this might be a little bit too heavy-handed, but you can sort of see that as we go down here like this, we're getting into just these last little bits of it. And maybe we take this down even more. Yeah, it would have to be like incredibly specialized. Just going to play around with this a little bit, see if we can't get something interesting here. But you can see that we're only now affecting some of these little end areas. So that sort of makes me think that this is probably the way we want to go about doing it. But maybe if I do this with a turbulence microsolver, it might allow me to get even more fine-grained control in here. Yeah, yep, I've definitely done that before with a couple different gas disturbs on different varying levels of size and things like that. Yeah, definitely have done that before, and used the speed field. Now, I remember when I first learned this, there wasn't an easy way to get the speed field. So like you had to like hack stuff and do things like that. I remember in the applied Houdini stuff, that was one of the things that he talked about, which was cool. Okay, so I'm going to try this. Let's just stop this for a second. I'm going to come back in here because the gas disturb is going to be a little bit sharper. So I'm just going to pull this out and I'm just going to leave that and say gas turbulence. I think this has basically the same control, not the same controls, but it has similar control settings here. Yes. Okay. So I think we might be able to do something interesting here. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to bring up my parameters control just so that we can go up a level and still have this. And I think here we might be able to get something out of this. So let's try this. Let's do 0.5. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay. So we don't want it to happen here, though. That's the key. We don't want it to happen right at the beginning. We want it to happen once it starts to thin out a little bit more. So let's come into the control settings. Let's go to density. I think we should set this to 1. I think. I'm going to remap the control field. Let's say the control maximum again is like 0.5. And let's do sort of the same thing we were doing there. So let's do this and this. Cool. Let's just see what happens when we do this. Yeah, let's try it with temperature as well. Yep. I kind of wonder if I need just a little bit more resolution here. Okay, that's maybe a lot more resolution. Let's maybe split the difference there. Yeah, I think that's starting to do something interesting. Let's see here. Maybe we do a little smaller swirl size. That just looks like noise now. Guess let's try a little larger swirl size. Yeah, confinement. Yep. Yep. I have heard of that too. Just gonna turn that on. Let's see here. Just gonna merge those together. See if that helps us out at all here. Confinement scale. Okay. Just going to bring these both up here. All right, so maybe we just do this at 1. Set this back. I'm going to set the control settings back again. Let's just see. See if we get anywhere here. Okay, 0.6. Just going to play with some of these settings here a little bit. I'm just curious what's going to happen with this confinement scale if I double it. Okay, let's just play around with this a little bit more. I kind of want to have it, the pulse be less. I don't think I want it to like go as crazy. No. Let's undo that. Okay, that's too big. So let's do this. Reduce that. All right, let's see if we could also do the gas disturbance in here as well. all these parameters up. Kind of funny. Don't usually do this, but I feel like this is going to be a little easier to do. That's kind of interesting. Remap the confinement. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Well, let me try this first. Let me try adding some of this in here as well. And then we'll go from there. Why do I think that one's not using OpenCL? There we go. There we go. All right, so let's do this. Just try to make these very similar in size. Okay, let's try that. Okay, that's gas disturb. That's the confinement. This is the turbulence. All right, I think I'm going to see if I can tweak this a little bit more. I'm just going to say 0 for the confinement for right now. And you just say 0 for this as well. I just want to see what the disturbance is doing. Okay. Sort of doing what we want it to do. Getting just the disturbance up in these little areas here. Okay, cool. That seems to be working. Well, that's good. All right, so let's go back to the turbulence here and set this to a scale of, I don't know, 1 for right now. Let's just see where we get with that. Okay, already I'm not happy about that part. Let's just see. Why is it starting off with that? What GPU am I using? It's just a 3090. I'd like to get a new one at some point, but I'd also like to get a whole new computer. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if our techno overlords will allow us peasants to get GPUs anytime soon or not, but my guess is no, but we'll see. Yes. Yes, that's interesting. Yeah, it's hot. Like hot arises with buoyancy, but does gravity factor in at all? Yeah. Yes, there could be. There definitely could be some of that, and what you can do within the solver is under shape buoyancy. Under here, we do have density influences gravity, which we can play around with and see. Don't think that's going to drastically change anything here. I kind of wonder if we actually flip the script on this one. If it gets no dense. Oh, that's funky. That's funky. Yeah, so you definitely can. Yeah, I would love a 5090, but I don't think that that is going to be my lot in life. I did get this 3090 brand like when it first came out, but it was kind of lucky, I guess. Yeah, the gravity is an interesting observation, Zach. I definitely am interested in that. So if we do density influences gravity and actually have it influence less as the, so if we invert the density range, then it'll be less as it gets thinner, or it'll be more as it gets thinner. That's kind of interesting. It's almost going to stop it from rising up in the air, you know? So it's kind of interesting. Okay. So where is our turbulence here? So yes. Yeah, Zach, you're saying you can animate the gravity direction right in the solver? Yep. Yeah, you definitely can mess around with it. And technically what it's doing is it's doing microsolvers inside of it. Yeah. So yeah, it definitely is doing something a little different. Yeah, the density thing doesn't matter if you're doing fire. That's true. In this case, since we're doing some weird smoke, it's something else. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Let me just see something here. Let me just turn this off one more time. I just want to see what this is going to do with it without that option on. I'm just curious what the difference is here. Also, maybe I'm having it dissipate too quick. Could be possible because, what is that? Sorry, fields. Let's see if I do this, just out of curiosity. What if I give it a little longer till it dissipates? No, that's too crazy. Hey, Lucas. Yeah, the 4090s. Yeah, I don't want anybody's used 4090, though. Who knows what they've done to it at this point? Their cats have slept on it or something. It's got hair all jammed in it or something. I'm just a little surprised that this is not like limiting. Like this initial hit, I'm surprised has so much turbulence on it. It's really surprising me. Hmm. I'll just give it a little bit of that. And maybe we give it less of that as well. Less buoyancy. See, now we're losing all of our streakiness. All right, I'm going to set this back to 0. Just see where we're at here. If there's nothing else going on, what is our dissipation doing? Is it doing any? Or sorry, our disturbance, is it doing anything? Yeah, it's like that's where I want the turbulence to live, in that zone too. No, don't really do anything here. Just live up in here. Yeah, they could be emitting from a curve. Sure. I mean, it certainly is possible. Yeah, it's definitely possible. I'm just not sure how they're getting that secondary motion. That's the thing that I'm most confused about here, is this right there. Because it's coming off of it. And then it's getting all these like wispy, curly things. Yeah, the main emission is fairly uniform, yes. Like right in here, but there is some weird thing going on there. I'm not sure what's going on there. It's very odd. I'm really not sure. Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. Yeah, it's always good to see how maybe people think about things. I mean, there's definitely some interesting stuff going on in here. It's just not exactly what I was sort of hoping for here. Let's do this. Let's add a little bit more buoyancy in it. Because we had those nice streaks going. I wonder if upping the viscosity a little bit might not hurt us either. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, Lucas. That's definitely where I'm at right now. And so for some reason, the turbulence just doesn't seem to want to do anything in there. So I'm going to turn this off for a second. Let's just see where we're at here without anything. Just want to see this. Okay. So let's just start with that as our reference point here. I'm gonna keep the disturbance off. That's fine. Okay. So let's maybe turn this off as well, just for right now, because I did like sort of the look we had before where this was going. Cool. All right. So here, we've got our control settings. Let's set the control influence to 1, I guess. We've got our range here. The control minimum, the density minimum is 0. The density maximum is 0.3. And I have it with remap on. So that may... Oh, I had turned the turbulence up. For some reason, it's swirling there too. I just don't understand that. Yeah, the density is, I think, the same as the temperature field in this case. I think it's very, very similar. And I just don't understand why this is like doing so much at the very bottom of this. We have such a tiny controls area. Like we should be barely affecting it right there. Hmm. Yeah, the order of the microsolvers. Yeah, turbulence is first. You know what? I am seeing this influence threshold here. Can I see this? Can I visualize this? Can only see it with this crazy color visualization on it. But yeah, look at that. Like, what is going on here? Like, why are we seeing it that way? Hmm. 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 Ah, it's compiling the kernel. Maybe the turbulence isn't the answer. Nope. Just trying to think of other things here that might... I'm kind of just curious what that's going to do. Gas sharpen. Let's just give it a try. What the heck? Just curious what it's going to do. Gas sharpen. No. All right. Well, darn. I was kind of hoping we'd get a little bit better than that, but, you know, win some, you lose some. Well, this file will be out there for you to play around with if you want to screw around with it, see what else you can get up to or whatnot. You know, again, getting close on just getting past a couple hours here. So I think what I'm going to do is start wrapping the stream up for the evening. But yeah, like you guys were saying, it's nice to take a look at some microsolvers, see how they work. I'm not sure why the turbulence one is working differently than I expect, but I have a feeling it has to do with this influence threshold. And with that, we're looking at this density field. And I feel like that, you know what? Just out of curiosity. Just out of curiosity. Nope. No, didn't really do anything. Okay, well, what would gas wavelets do? That's an interesting question. What are gas? I don't even know if I know gas wavelets that well. Oh, I don't even know what this is. I don't know. Just gonna turn that off and that off. Let's see. What if we did density to velocity? I don't know. I don't even know what this does. Let's see. And it definitely didn't do anything that we were hoping it would. So, oh, it must be the same. Okay, let me just turn this back on, just out of curiosity. Definitely doing some weird stuff. I don't know what it is. Kind of interesting. Pretty funky. Not sure what that is doing. Just as reference, like this is what it looked like just with the the turbulence. All right. Well, like I said, I'm gonna wrap. It's waving. Yeah. I'm gonna wrap things up there. Like I said, there's gonna be these files are available online. I upload them after the stream, and you can feel free to go on and grab them. They're on the Discord server. If you want to download them and play around with them a little bit more, see what you want to come up with, or if you're following along, you can always post something that you were doing as well. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Yeah, glad. Hope I don't have it in my dreams. No, I don't think I will. I think I'll sleep okay tonight. I'll definitely be thinking about it more, but that's always a tricky thing about these things, right? Like I only have so much time in life to spend messing around with stuff. Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, Lucas, well, thanks for being here. It's always fun. Yeah, it's fun to just kind of screw around, see what's going on, see what we can come up with. Making polished tutorials is my day job, kind of. So getting on and just messing around with stuff is a little bit more fun to just be able to kind of be flexible and try things out. So anyways, yeah, if you're interested in getting on the Discord, check that out. And you should be able to get all the downloaded links there. And yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for this evening. And so thank you to everybody for joining. You can always put new suggestions or things like that out there. This was one of the suggestions that was in the Discord that, I decided I'll give it a shot, see what happens. But yeah, if you have any further suggestions or ideas or whatever, always interested to hear about that. So please put those in the topic suggestions on the Discord. But yeah, other than that, hope you guys all have a great evening. Thank you so much for joining, and I will talk to you all later. See you guys. See you next week.